The hot, muggy air was filled with noise. Jack and Annie heard the clippity-clop of horses' hooves. They heard voices calling out, "Crawfish pies, buttermilk, gumbo for sale here." Jack looked down at his and Annie's clothes. They were both wearing white shirts and dark trousers with suspenders. Jack's backpack had turned into a cloth bag. Neither Jack nor Annie was wearing shoes. "Wow, we're barefoot. That's cool," said Annie. "And at least I can run in these pants. I like them a lot better than the dress I wore on our last mission." "Yeah," Jack smiled, remembering Annie's long frilly dress in Vienna and his velvet coat and white wig. "I like being barefoot, too," he said. "But what year did we come to? I can't tell from our outfits." Jack and Annie looked out the window. The treehouse had landed in a grove of palm trees. Not far away, steamboats churned down a river. Below them was a bustling city scene. Rows of stores lined both sides of a wide street. Vendors were selling food from carts. Women shoppers wore long skirts, and men wore white suits and hats. Mule carts and horse-drawn buggies bumped alongside a few antique-looking cars. Moving down the middle of the street were red and green train cars. Each one was attached to an electric line overhead. "This is definitely a long time ago," said Jack. "But when exactly?" "I can't tell," said Annie. "Maybe our research book can help us," said Jack. "I'll look up Louis Armstrong." Jack looked in the index of a history of New Orleans music and found a chapter on Louis Armstrong. He read, "Born in New Orleans in 1901, Louis Armstrong grew up to be one of the greatest jazz musicians who ever lived." A photo showed an African-American man playing a trumpet. His cheeks were puffed out, and his eyes were closed. Stage lights were shining on him. Thousands of people were in the audience. The caption under the photo read, "Louis Armstrong, King of Jazz." "So what is jazz exactly?" asked Annie. "It's a kind of music," said Jack. "Well, yeah, but what kind?" said Annie. Jack looked up jazz in the glossary of their book. He read, "Jazz began in New Orleans in the early 1900s and was first played by African Americans. It is a style of music that has a strong beat and is played with lots of feeling. Jazz melodies are often made up on the spot." "Got it," said Annie. "Read more about Louis." Jack flipped back to the pages about Louis Armstrong and read, "As a young teenager, Louis Armstrong often performed with kid bands on the streets of the city. Eventually, he played with older musicians in dance halls and developed his musical talents performing on Mississippi river boats. When he was 21, he moved to Chicago where—" "Stop, that's all we need," Annie broke in. "It is?" asked Jack. "Yep, we'll just ask someone what the date is," said Annie. "Then we can figure out how old Louis Armstrong is, and we'll know where to look for him, the streets, a dance hall, or on the Mississippi River." Annie picked up the magic trumpet. She tucked it under her arm and started down the rope ladder. "I guess that's a plan," murmured Jack. "Sort of." He put the New Orleans book in his bag and followed her. In their bare feet, Jack and Annie hurried a short distance to the wide, busy street. A sign read, "Canal Street." The sidewalks on both sides of Canal Street were crowded with vendors pushing carts and shouting in rich, loud voices, "Buttermilk, buttermilk, fresh from the buttermilk man. Bring out your bucket, bring out your can," shouted a man. "Blackberries, mighty fine, 3 sacks for a dime," called an old woman. "Read all the news, chase away the blues," sang a boy with newspapers. "Let's buy a paper," said Jack. "It'll tell us the date." Jack and Annie ran over to the boy selling newspapers. "A paper, please," said Annie. "A penny, please," said the boy. Jack and Annie dug into their pockets. "Uh-oh," said Annie. "No money." "Uh-oh," said the boy. "No paper." He started to walk away. "Wait, please," said Jack. "Can you just tell us the date?" "October 31st, the eve of All Saints' Day," said the boy. "You didn't know that?" Not really," said Jack. "And what year is it?" Annie asked. The newsboy scowled. "It's 1915. Don't you two know anything? Who are you?"